Welcome to my short analysis of the backwards design instructional design model, what it is, how it works, and how it might compare to what our textbook offers. So what is backwards design? Well, it's a theory that was developed by J. McTighe and Grant Wiggins in the late 90s as a new approach to instructional design that differs somewhat from many of the other popular theories of their day. The backwards design process breaks down into basically a three-step approach. The first step involves identifying your desired results, things like big ideas and skills. Your second goal would be to determine acceptable evidence, and finally you end with planning learning experiences and instruction. Stage 1 of the backwards design process is to identify your desired results. What big ideas are you trying to teach? This is the point at which you'd look at alignment with state standards or the goal of the class, again, in a big picture kind of way. In step 2, our goal is to determine evidence that we can use to show that the material was learned, that the idea was understood. It's important to align the assessment with the goal and also to have an assessment that differentiates between true understanding and just surface understanding. The final step in backwards design is to actually plan the instruction. Now that you have a big idea and some type of assessment to determine if it's been learned, you then start planning your instructional goals, your lessons, and determining what you're going to do to teach the material. Some similarities between the textbook version and backwards design include that both start with analysis and both have a strong focus on assessment, really having evidence that something was learned. Some of the major differences are that you're taking more of a bird's eye view, that top-down approach, focus on big ideas, and really you're approaching everything in reverse compared to most traditional instructional design methods where you're starting at the end and moving backwards. The focus on assessment before planning is really a major difference and part of what makes the process backwards. Most instructional design, such as our textbook, is going to focus on setting goals and then determining assessments. With backwards design, you're doing exactly the opposite. The major assumption made in backwards design is that the big idea or skill can both be accurately determined and also accurately assessed. Sometimes this can be difficult to do with those very broad concept, big idea approach. So what makes instructional design better? Well, proponents say that it offers a better broad view so students understand why they're learning and not just what they're learning. It also allows you to really focus on where you want to get rather than how you get there. Some problems with this approach might be that it encourages that teachers to teach to the test, to the assessment that has been created, rather than focusing on true student understanding. It can also be an issue that we are assuming that we are getting the right big idea, which isn't always the case. Hopefully this has given you an idea of how backwards design approach works, and you have a better understanding than you did when you started. Thanks.
Created using Powtoon.